My young nephew, 7, smirked and said, "You can't join us, Mom called you a Jest." Every person there laughed, my own son included. I quietly rose from my seat and walked out. Later that evening, my sister texted, "Is that payment due still tomorrow?" I simply replied, "You figure that out." The following morning, utter and total panic. You know, sometimes, one casual, cruel comment can shatter everything you thought you knew about your own family. It was just a silly birthday party, but that day, my 7-year-old nephew looked me dead in the eye, frosting smeared across his cheeks, and said, "You can't sit with us. Mom says you're a joke." And the worst part? My family, my own mother, sister, and brother, they laughed. What the hell happened next, you ask? Well, that's where the real story begins. My nephew, with his sticky, store-bought frosting smile, repeated it like a little parrot, trying on grown-up words just to see how they fit. And the adults? They did that tight, knowing little laugh, the one that says, "Yeah, this is wrong, but it feels so good to watch." My sister, Elise, stared at her phone. My mother, usually so fussy, just pinched her paper napkin into a bowl, silent. My brother, Nate, just lifted his beer, never bothering to meet my gaze. And my own 8-year-old son, my sweet boy, he looked around, unsure, then giggled along because everyone else was doing it. I stood there, holding a heavy tray of sliders I'd painstakingly seared on my cast iron, brioche buns I'd baked, onion jam I'd started at the crack of dawn, 2 custom sauces in squeeze bottles labeled like a line cook. My hands were full, but my gut felt empty. I didn't correct the kid. I didn't throw the plate. I didn't even ask who taught him that sentence. I just stood there, and felt a quiet, chilling cold crawl into my bones, making itself right at home. My name's Jackson. I'm 38. I'm an executive chef, running a hotel restaurant that locals adore and tourists try to gatekeep. In my family, I'm the background noise. The fixer. The guy they call when the sink leaks or the party head count suddenly doubles. I sleep in 4-hour bursts, because in my world, service never ends. And I keep receipts. Always. In a neat, red folder, rubber banded tight, because kitchens teach you to document everything, in heat-proof ink. This party was at my mother's house. Balloons, overcooked sausage rolls, and a cake so neon the frosting dye stained your tongue blue for hours. I brought the good food because that's my job in this story, make things better. Make them edible. "Jackson, don't sulk," Elise said without even glancing up. Just like that. My son's face, usually so open, went small and tight. "Dad, you can sit with me," he whispered, his little voice barely audible. "Thanks, bud," I said, trying to keep my voice light, a skill I'd perfected over years of emotional triage. "I'm good." I put the tray down on the buffet, right next to the crock pot of suspicious dip, wiped my hands on my apron, and stepped out back. The porch smelled like citronella and denial. I stared at the line of string lights I'd hung last Christmas, when it was too cold for ladders, and a thought hit me with startling clarity. I don't have to stay where I'm not welcome. Inside, someone yelled, "Who took the good buns already?" Laughter followed, the kind that rides on someone else's dignity. My cousin brushed past me, plate in hand. "Chef Boyardee," he grinned. "Save me one of your famous burgers." "Sliders," I said automatically. Because names matter. Then I stopped. Some things just don't. When it was time to leave, my mother hugged my son and patted my shoulder, a dismissal, like I was a waiter dropping the check. Elise handed me a foil pan, my own food, the leftovers I'd bought, cooked, and brought. As I buckled my son into the car, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "Thanks for handling the food." Then another from Elise. "Payment still due tomorrow." I stared at the message bubbles. All caps lived in my throat, screaming to be let out, but all that escaped was a single line from me. "Figure it out." I put the car in drive. "Dad, are you mad at me?" My son's small voice came from the back. "No, buddy," I said. "I'm just done being the joke." Here's the thing, I'd been the invisible man, holding up the stage set for a very, very long time. That night wasn't the first wound. It was just the first one I didn't cover with a towel, the first time I didn't freeze anyone's accounts. I didn't call a lawyer from the driveway, not then. I went home, washed a mountain of sheet pans, peeled a thumb of ginger without thinking, and tried to sleep. The next morning, before the sun even touched the alley behind my building, the panic began. Let me back up. I grew up in a house where praise had a favorite seat, and Elise always sat in it. She was the golden one. Organized mother of two, always busy, but somehow always available to collect what was owed. Nate, my brother, was the charming storm you just learned to board up for. Me? I was the one who didn't need much. The one who understood the situation. The one you could depend on. It started small, the way rust starts, quietly, decade ago. When Dad got sick, I moved back. Took the night shift at a bistro, then a second shift at a diner, because the mortgage on Mom's house loomed like a thunderhead. I was 28, hungry for the line, the burn, the tickets clipping in a rhythm that sounded like meaning. I fronted little things without keeping score, because love isn't a ledger, right? Until it has to be. Examples? Okay. Elise's minivan died. I paid the tow, the alternator, the 2 new tires. Because the kids had soccer. When Nate needed a little boost for a security deposit after bailing on a roommate mid-lease, I wired it at 1 a.m. between plating hanger steaks and answering the expo. When Mom's roof started crying into the guest room, I found a roofer who wouldn't scam her, stayed home from brunch service to meet him, and put the entire deposit on my card. Your credit is better, they'd said. My mistake. I kept being proud that it was. And the house. The house is the spine of this story. 5 years ago, the mortgage was a slow-moving crisis. Dad gone, paperwork a mess, interest rate ugly. The balance hovered around $330,000. Our options? Sell the house that held every birthday photo, every height mark on the pantry door, or refinance and keep it in the family. Mom cried. Elise said, Jackson, you're the only one who understands these things. Nate said, I can't right now. His whole personality in 4 words. I ran the numbers at the prep table after close, fingers still smelling like shallots. It was tight but doable. I had good income by then, executive sous chef, about to step up to chef. I could leverage my credit, lock a fixed rate. Then we'd split it. The plan? I co-signed to save the house. We all pay our thirds. And this matters, we all remain on the deed until the mortgage is done. Family responsibility, boundaries incorporated. I met with the loan officer twice. Read every page. Highlighted. Tagged with neon flags like a man who knows kitchens run on mise en place and documentation. There was a clause I underlined 3 times. 4.4.7, Title/Ownership Covenant, removal or alteration of any borrower's equitable or legal interest in the property during the term of this note requires the written consent of all obligated parties. I took a picture of it. Emailed it to the family thread. Saved it in the red folder. For 5 years. I paid on time. When Elise forgot her third, I covered it to avoid late fees. When Nate was between gigs, I covered again. My bank app shows the transfers like a heart monitor, steady, steady, spiking, steady. I cooked double shifts to make it work. I skipped vacations. I said no to a pop-up concept I desperately wanted, telling myself, we can talk about that when things are stable. What did they do? They did family. They did holidays where the person who brings the food is not the person who gets thanked. They did the kind of casual erasure that looks like, oh, we were just joking. Like you're the strong one. Like we'll make it up to you. Then last fall, I was chopping fennel when Mom called. Jackson, she said, her voice too bright. Quick question about homeowners insurance. Elise said we needed to update the policy since the deed changed. The what changed? Oh, don't get dramatic, she huffed. We updated the deed. It's simpler this way. Less paperwork for the will. Elise has the kids, she and Tom will keep the house after me. It's all still family. My knife clattered down. The timer for the braising short ribs went off, unheard. Who signed what? Don't use that voice, she snapped. Elise handled it. She's good with forms. I hung up, walked to the alley, and called the county recorder. Then I sat on a milk crate between the walk-in and the delivery door, listening to a stranger confirm my name was no longer on the deed. 2 months earlier, Elise and Mom had executed a quitclaim that removed me and transferred ownership to Elise and her husband. 4. Estate simplicity. No call. No consent. No 4.7 acknowledgement. They didn't remove me from the loan, though. The mortgage still drafted from my account on the 1st. In kitchens, you learn to stay calm when the fryer explodes. I stayed calm. I opened a new folder on my phone. House documentation. Screenshots of every payment since the refinance. The original deed. The refinance note. The Clause 4.7 photo. Property tax records. Insurance policy. The quitclaim. I printed texts. Can you cover this month? Promise we'll settle up. Highlighted dates. Made a timeline. I wasn't planning revenge. I was building clarity. Then came the party with the nephew's line, the joke, the laughter, the tray of sliders, and the text. Payment still due tomorrow. I slept badly. At 6:12 a.m., while portioning Bermonti for the fish station, my phone lit up so bright I thought someone had turned a lamp on under it. Elise, wait. What do you mean figure it out? Elise, hello? Mom, Jackson, we need to talk. Nate, dude, answer your phone. Elise, are you kidding me? The bank drafts today. Here's the thing they didn't understand. I wasn't turning off love. I was turning off the faucet they'd welded to my name without asking. I chose the setting carefully. Sunday lunch at the restaurant. Slow hour. Dining room quiet. Sunlight pooling on the banquettes. No music. No audience of cousins. No laugh track. They showed up together. Mom, tight-lipped. Elise in full leadership mode. Nate, late, sunglasses perched on his head like another bad idea. I had water on the table already. I stayed standing for a minute so I wouldn't sit in old habits. Elise started. This is childish, she said, dropping her purse like a gavel. Your little figure-it-out stunt. Do you understand what kind of position you put me in with the mortgage company? They tried to draft. And couldn't. I finished for her. And couldn't, she blazed on. Because you changed the account info without telling us. I didn't change anything, I said. I accessed my own bank and removed autopay for a debt I've single-handedly carried when you forgot. Mom leaned forward. We are family. You don't. I slid the red folder across the table. We are, I said. So here's the family thing. We read together. Nate snorted. Oh my God! I ignored him. I opened to the refinance packet and tapped the highlighted section. Clause 4.7. The one I emailed on May 3, 2020, at 8:27 p.m. The one that says you can't change the ownership without written consent of all obligated parties. Elise's lip curled. We didn't change anything important. It's still in the family. Important to who? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. You transferred the legal ownership to yourself and your husband. You kept me on the notes so the bank would keep drafting my account. You changed the locks on obligation and called it estate simplicity. Mom's voice went small. Honey, you're single. Elise has children. This makes sense on paper. It sure does, I said evenly, sliding out the county recorder printout. Recorded in August. 2 months before I paid the October escrow shortage you told me was a weird glitch. It wasn't. It was the tax increase because of your transfer. Elise's phone buzzed. She didn't look at it. She looked at me. So, what is this, Jackson? A shakedown? I stared at her for a beat. No. This is me saying no. I will not pay for an asset I don't own. Nate finally looked up. So, you're just going to let Mom be homeless? No one is being thrown anywhere. I said. I spoke with the loan servicer yesterday. There are 3 options that don't involve me lighting money on fire. I held up 3 fingers. 1. You refinance in your name only, Elise, if your income can carry it. 2. You sell. 3. We reverse the quitclaim, restore my interest, and we formalize contributions in writing with escrow controlled by a third party, so I'm not the only grown-up in the room. Reverse the quitclaim? Elise laughed, a brittle, harsh sound. We already did it. I slid my phone across the table. On the screen, a clean PDF labeled Quitclaim recorded August 14th. I swiped to the next photo. My email to the loan officer, with clause 4.7 cited and a request for guidance. The next, a reply confirming that the title alteration without my consent is a breach under 4.7, and any further drafts can be paused pending resolution. The next, a screenshot of 5 years of transfers from my account. $186,423.17. Highlighted. Here's the thing, I said quietly. I'm not dramatic. I'm not vengeful. I'm tired. And I'm done. Mom's eyes were wet now. Jackson, she whispered. We didn't mean. I know, I said. And I did. They never mean it. Meaning isn't the point. Outcomes are. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. Silence. Even the kitchen went still for a second, like Service had paused to listen. Elise swallowed. You can't do this. The draft bounced this morning. The bank called me. The late fee is a natural consequence, I said. Not a punishment. There is a path. Pick one. Nate leaned back, grinning the way people grin at a car crash. You think you're the hero here? No, I said. I think I'm the accountant. Mom reached for my hand. I didn't move mine away, but I didn't turn it either. Please, she said. Don't do anything rash. I'm not, I said. I'm doing exactly what the paperwork says. I stood. I'll give you the week. On Friday at noon, I meet with the notary. If the deed isn't corrected or the refinance isn't underway, I'll send a formal notice through counsel to the servicer and to the county, citing clause 4.7 and reserving all rights to seek reimbursement for 5 years of payments. I paused. And I'll put this all in writing so no one can pretend they didn't hear it. Elisa's phone started exploding on the table. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Like it sensed its role in the panic to come. Mom dabbed her eyes. Nate muttered something about power trips. I nodded once and walked toward the kitchen. As I pushed through the door, my phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Elise. All caps, you're ruining us. I set my phone face down on the expo and called. 2 salmon, 2 steak, fire on table 12. The line kicked back into motion. And on the other side of the door, the calls began. Rapid. Relentless. A storm gathering over a house that finally met the weather it had been pretending wasn't there. By Monday afternoon, my call log looked like a heartbeat in distress. 42 missed calls from Elise. 19 from Mom. 7 from Nate. 12 from an unknown number that turned out to be my aunt, who opened with, I don't know what you think you're doing, but think of the children. I set a boundary on my voicemail. I will not discuss the mortgage by phone. Please email. I created a new email filter. Family house. I forwarded everything to my attorney, who I hired with a single sentence. I need this to be boring and legal. He wrote letters with notary stamps and paragraph numbers. He cited clause 4.7 the way I'd practiced in my head. Elise texted paragraphs. You're selfish. This is just money to you. We took you off the deed because you're single. It's practical. I can't refinance. Tom's hours were cut. Selling will destroy. Are you happy? I responded once. Put all proposals in writing by Thursday. I will review with counsel. Mom left voicemails that sounded like someone trying to talk through a hurricane. Honey, please call me back. This is getting out of hand. Your sister is beside herself. Do you want us to be out on the street? This isn't you. I listened late at night with the lights off and the hood fan still roaring in my ears from service. I didn't call back. I sent an email. I love you. We need to follow the documents. Word spread. Cousins I hadn't seen in years became experts. You're ruining the family. One wrote. Another. I heard you're evicting your own mother. An uncle. A man provides. I replied to none of them. I was done auditioning for roles I never wanted. Meanwhile, I slept. Not immediately, not perfectly, but better than I had in years. I woke up and ran 3 miles for the first time since I'd swapped cardio for caffeine. I rearranged my pantry at home like a station you'd actually want to work. Spices labeled, oils dated, bins purged of the stale and the sentimental. I bought myself a new chef's jacket. White and crisp. No name on it, because I'd been giving my name away far too often. On Wednesday, Elise sent a solution, scribbled as a note in her phone. It suggested I continue paying for a few months. She and Tom would look into options. No lawyers, no more drama. It read like a hostage list with no hostage. My attorney drafted a reply. Option 3. Restore title to original parties. Execute a memorandum of understanding contributions. Establish an escrow account managed by a third party. Any missed contributions trigger an automatic sale with proceeds split proportionate to paid principal. Deadline Friday noon. Nate finally tried sincerity. He showed up at the restaurant back door during prep, holding out 2 coffees like a peace offering. Man, he said, this is getting out of hand. I wiped my hands on my apron. You're 3 years late. He bristled. You think I didn't want to help? I was between gigs. I said. I know. He said. You can't punish everyone for being human. I said. I'm not. I'm refusing to be punished for it. He stared at me. You really changed. No, I said. I stopped pretending. Thursday night, Mom sent a photo of a cardboard box labeled Kitchen Mom. I breathed through the lurch in my chest. I called my attorney. She's packing, I said. My attorney sighed. They're staging panic. Hold the line. Friday, at 11:52 a.m., 8 minutes before the deadline, I received a PDF. Corrective quitclaim deed. Restoring the original parties. It included a draft of the memorandum with escrow terms, drafted by my attorney, and signed, finally, by Elise, Tom, and Mom. It wasn't an apology. It was better. It was accountability. At 12:03 my phone rang. Mom. Hi. Jackson, are you going to make your sister pay? No, I said softly. The bank is. I'm just not doing it alone anymore. She exhaled a long, jagged sound. I don't like this. I know, I said. Neither do I. That afternoon, the loan servicer acknowledged receipt of the title correction and the escrow agreement. Autopay remained off. The first payment under the new arrangement hit the new escrow on the 1st. 1/3 Elise's funds, 1/3 mine, 1/3 Mom's small but real contribution from the Social Security account we reorganized with a financial counselor. My red folder got a new tab. Executed. The calls didn't stop, but they changed flavor. You embarrassed us, Elise texted. Everyone knows. I typed, then deleted, then typed again. I didn't tell anyone anything. The facts did. And so dramatic. Me. The paperwork is boring. Read it. Cousin. Think of the kids. Me. I'm modeling boundaries. At home, a quiet settled. My son noticed first. You're not on your phone all the time, he said one evening while we stirred risotto, his favorite, because it takes patience. I'm learning to be off call, I said. He grinned. Like. When your timer goes off and you don't pretend it didn't? We ate at the table, just the 2 of us. No jokes at our expense. He told me about a science project. I told him how to tell when rice releases starch. We laughed at a dumb pun about time. It felt like the opposite of panic. A month later, the house was still the house. The porch light still flickered. The pantry door still had those uneven pencil marks where we all grew. But the ledger had changed. We signed the escrow agreement in front of a notary who double-checked IDs like the universe finally was. The county updated the title. Clause April 7th, Saturday, smug and simple, like a recipe you ignored because you thought you knew better. Payments came from 3 places, not one. One missed by Elise in month 2 triggered an automatic email from the escrow manager, not a frantic plea to me. She covered it the next day and didn't add a smiley face. My phone grew quieter. The family group chat hummed about school plays and cousin baby showers, the way families do when they're pretending they aren't different now. I kept my responses neutral. I sent photos of my son's science fair volcano. I didn't volunteer to cater the next event. When someone made a joke that ran too close to the bone, I didn't swallow it. I wrote, "Not funny. Please stop." And then I put my phone down and sliced cucumbers for a salad we'd actually eat. I saw my nephew. Yes, that nephew, at a Sunday visit. He shuffled, avoiding my eyes. Mom said I should say sorry. He mumbled. I didn't mean it. I know, I said. But words matter. So do seats. He looked up. Can you sit with me now? Yeah, I said. And I did. We played Uno with my son, and when he lost, he didn't cry. When he won, he didn't gloat. Progress, even with 7-year-olds, looks like small chairs pulled a little closer. 2 months after the panic, I stood in my kitchen at home, holding a spare key to the house I'd saved and nearly surrendered. I didn't drive over. I didn't put it on my chain. I put it in the red folder, under a new tab. Boundaries. Not to wave in anyone's face. To remind myself that paper can be a fence and a bridge at the same time. Here's what changed. I stopped paying for the privilege of being invisible. I learned that you don't have to be the family wallet to be the family. You can love people and still refuse to subsidize their disrespect. You can say no calmly, precisely, and let the paperwork say the rest. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. I told them that day. It still is. Closure wasn't a slammed door. It was a signature under a paragraph we all agreed to, and finally, obeyed. I'm Jackson. I'm a chef. I cut onions fast and clean now. And I cut expectations the same way. I don't sit where I'm told I don't belong. I pull up my own chair. I set my own plate. And I leave empty seats for anyone willing to meet me at the table where jokes don't cost a person their place. The last text I didn't answer sits starred in my phone, a relic I keep to remind myself of the old script. Elise, can you just cover this one time? My unsent reply. Instead, I turned off my screen, checked the risotto, tasted for salt, and taught my son the only recipe I wish I'd learned sooner: boundaries. Stirred slowly, finished with a little butter, and a whole lot of patience. So tell me, what would you have done in my shoes? Have you ever faced a moment where you had to stand up for yourself against the people you love most? I really want to hear your thoughts in the comments below.